watching an exclusive broadcast of NASCAR's Grand National Division.
Mike Duncan is trying to finish the season strong. Mike David's had the best year of his career. Both will try to get by Eric Holmes, the most consistent driver we've seen this season, in order to win the series championship. AutoZone Grand National West Series races are short track racing at its best. Tight turns, bumping and rubbing have been the common themes this year. But it's the point chase we're watching tonight here in Kyle, Texas. With 2 races to go, there's no room for error for the top 3 in the standings. It's the Allstate Texas Thunder 200 on HDNet. Welcome to Kyle, Texas, just south of Austin, and site tonight of the Allstate Texas Thunder 200 at Thunder Hill Raceway. It should be a great night of short track racing here in Texas. Very pleasant good evening, everybody. Mike Hogwood here, along with Dan Partis. Dan, these are the kind of racetracks we love. Short and tight. We're going to see a lot of action.
Well, it is. As a driver, we got to be patient. We got to be there. And if we have a car that's stumbling a little bit, we've got to make it to that halfway break. 10 minutes to make some adjustments on the car and get back and get on that steering wheel and get back with the program. Got to be patient here at Kyle tonight.
200 laps on the schedule for tonight. And there are 3 guys who really have to be careful. This is a great points battle. It's going to go down to the wire.
Yeah, Eric Holmes, Mike David, Mike Duncan, these guys are tight. They've all got to be here at the end. They've got to finish. They've got to go to the final race of the year here in this series and try to win that championship. Again, a tough racetrack to do it on here at Kyle.
Now, as you can see, there is no margin for error. It's a really tight points race. Now, Eric Holmes is in the driver's seat right now. He'll start 3rd tonight. And the 3rd member of our broadcast team, Candace Kruger, had a chance to talk with him a short while ago.
Thanks, Mike. Now, Eric, you're obviously leading the points, but you've yet to win a race so far this season. How important is it to you to pick up a victory?
Yeah, it's definitely important to win a race. We've been qualifying well every week and been leading laps, been the car to beat. We just haven't quite got it finished. So tonight we got a really good car. We qualified 3rd, and I think we got a shot at it tonight.
Now, you finished the Southwest Series just 1 point out of winning the championship, 1 point behind first place. Does that make you want to win this championship even more?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we had no intentions on running this championship, and now, we're in a tight points battle in this. We lost by 1 point, and, we did everything we could. We won the last 2 races, so here, hopefully we can win the last 2 in this series, and that'll wrap up championship for us.
How's your car this weekend?
It's really good. First time here, but it's a fun track, and hopefully we put on a great show. It'll be a lot of fun.
Thanks. Good luck.
Thank you.
Mike?
Thank you, Candace. And what's been amazing is he has run the same car all year long. But you know what? It's going to be a tough fight with Mike David, who is a veteran. He's on the pole here tonight. He is running well on this racetrack, and Mike David's had a really good season.
Yeah, they both have, but Eric Holmes has just been so consistent, knows he has to finish races. He's yet to be beat there. 7 top 5 finishes this year.
Well, you look at the story on Mike David. Both of those wins came at his home track, the Stockton 99 Speedway. And as we said, Mike David with 5 top 5s in the 10 starts so far, 2nd in the standings, just 27 points back, and he was the man in qualifying today.
Yeah, he was. Just hooked up. He's able to even run a little bit on that outside groove and says the car's just as good. So important here at Kyle.
Came just a hair, 100th of a second, from getting into the 14-second mark of going around this racetrack. But David, Mike Duncan, who is still in this points chase, Eric Holmes, Peyton Sellers, as you see, the top 10. Peyton Sellers is the top rookie in this series. Those are the top 10, and I think those are the 10 guys that have the best shot to win here tonight.
Yeah, it is. And you got Ford and Gay. You got a lot of good cars there.
But qualifying happened in the afternoon. It was 95 degrees here in Kyle, Texas today. This was a hot and greasy racetrack.
Yes, it was. But, now temperatures have changed. The temperature is going to drop some 15 to 20 degrees here. The crew chiefs and the drivers that make calculated changes will run a lot better here tonight. So it's real important to make them changes early on before qualifying, and then you're set for the race.
Well, you see Mike David, he is strapped into his race car down on the pit lane, about ready to go, and let's head down to Candace Kruger.
Mike, obviously a very tight points battle between you and Mike Duncan and obviously Eric Holmes. Being just 27 points behind Eric, will you keep an eye on him throughout the night tonight?
Well, I hope we keep an eye on him in the rearview mirror. That'll work out best for us.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, trust me, Michael's in there somewhere. You see him belted in. He's ready to go. And let's go trackside right now and get the command to get these engines fired up and this race underway.
With the most famous words in auto racing from Allstate, Lisa Sturgeon.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
Fireworks are going off. The engines have roared to life here in Kyle, Texas. This Thunder Hill Raceway. They had quite a race here a year ago. Steve Portengay was the winner there. Scott Gaylord led a lot of laps. Now, if there is one guy who we could maybe say, I don't want to put desperate in the word, but if he's to win his third championship in a row, he almost needs a victory here tonight. And we're talking about Mike Duncan, the driver of car number 9.
Yeah, Mike, you know, he's been there. He's been Mr. Consistency again. He's just had a few breaks this year that kind of put him behind the 8 ball there a little bit, but he's a veteran. He knows how to get around these racetracks, especially short track races, Mike. He's an expert at that.
And he won the last time this series raced in Fontana. That was his first win of the season. He knows what he has to do to win his third championship, but that win has made him feel good about this season to date.
We've been off a little bit from where we were in the past, and so to win at that big track and it couldn't have came at a better time with trying to gain some momentum going into these last point races.
Well, that's the word on Mike Duncan, former minor league baseball player who was the series champion in 2004, 2005, and comes into this race 65 points behind Eric Holmes.
Well, he does, but he said a key word there, momentum. As a race car driver and as a team, momentum is so important, especially when you come off a win. Sometimes you start losing a little bit of faith in yourself and in the team. You go and have a victory, and it brings it all back in perspective. You say, hey, I haven't forgotten how to drive. I know I got the equipment. So, again, it does help a team. Momentum's a key word in racing.
Well, there's a full field of 22 here tonight, and Mike Duncan's on the front row along with Mike David. Eric Holmes has been on the front row almost the entire season. He'll get a look from row 2 here tonight along with Peyton Sellers.
Yep, and Peyton Sellers having some tough races this year. You know, at Stockton, unfortunately, got taken out early, but he's building his momentum back too, per se. Talking to Bill McAnally, says, I know the kid got what it takes. He said, we just had some problems. We just got to get calmed down, have the brakes go our way, and brakes are a big part in racing.
Row 3 is the guy who won this race last year, Steve Portengay, and C.T. Hellman, who not only is driving in this race, he's the promoter of the event, and he had a great qualifying effort.
Quite a story there. Lots of, load on his shoulders here tonight to come here, qualify, work on the car, race, worry about what he has to do in this race, and then also talk to his guys that are helping promote this project. And they've done an awesome job here tonight at Kyle to make this race go anywhere.
Watch out for Scott Gaylord, Andrew Myers on row 4. Both of those guys could win here tonight. On row 5, Brian Eichler, the young rookie driving for Bill McAnally, and another youngster, Justin Lofton, who got taken out early in that race in Fontana, so he's hoping to last the distance here tonight. Austin Cameron, Johnny Bornable. We talk about two guys who've been up and down this season. How about those two?
Oh, Austin Cameron, again, I think some 14 victories in this series. Austin knows how to get around, but again, just struggling. Talked to him after qualifying. Said the car felt really good, but I was slow. And as a driver, when a car does feel good, sometimes it is real slow. They made some big changes to qualify.
Row 7, Jen Engelbright and Juliano Losaco out of Sao Paulo, Brazil. He is a Brazilian stock car champion 2 years in a row and would really like to run some of these big stock cars in the United States. Row 8, Tim Woods, glad to see he recovered from that scary fireball at Fontana. Row 9, Cowboy Jack Sellers and Eric Harden, another one of Bill McAnally's young drivers. Brett Thompson starting the 61. That is not his regular car. It got torn up at Dover. And on row 11, Mark Schultz and Randy Lynch. That is a team car to Mike David. Randy Lynch is actually the car owner and the owner of Bennett Lane Winery, but he's gotten the bug to race. He was a racer many years ago and actually was a crew chief at one point in time in this series. Green is out.
Outside, still there. You'll see him outside. Still there. Outside, still there. Still there, outside. Still there.
You're hearing Mike David's
Still there,
spotter
outside.
call this first lap.
Clear, all clear.
Mike David leads this first lap here in the Allstate Texas Thunder 200. Mike Duncan right behind him. Eric Holmes is third.
Mike Duncan hung on that outside. I talked to Mike. I said, can you run the outside here? He said, I'm only going to do it for a lap or so. I know that's not the first groove. I know it's not the fastest, but I can run out there to hold my old position. But he did the right thing. He let out of the throttle there, let Mike David down on the bottom side, fell single file.
Well, they tried to work that groove in earlier today. They actually put some Coke syrup up on that second groove and tried to work it in so they'd have 2 grooves to race in.
Yeah, they did that yesterday. Corn syrup, Coke syrup, some type of sticky solution to get the cars to stick better. Then they actually made the cars in practice, run a couple practice sessions out on that outside groove to get some rubber down to make the car stick. And it's proven to be effective at other racetracks, and it looks like it's working here tonight at Kyle, Texas.
Need to make a note about Brett Thompson. He has had all kinds of troubles here today trying to get that car to handle. We talked about him wrecking the car he had scheduled to bring here. He has already taken his car behind the wall and just couldn't get it to run. And I know he's disappointed making that long trip, only running a couple of laps here. But Brett Thompson already out.
Yeah, and these drivers are looking to get single file, get some heat in the tires, get settled in, get the brakes warm. Big thing, we use a lot of brakes at this racetrack, so it's important to get that brakes warmed up and make them start working.
And just a few laps in, we're already going to see a couple of cars getting lapped. Mike David has passed his team car and is about ready now to put a lap on Bobby Hillis. And at these kind of tracks, when you start running up on lap cars, that's where it really starts to get a little tricky.
Oh, it does. You have to kind of pace yourself and time yourself so that you pass them lap cars. They're right there. You see the 12 car move up a groove. That was important to do that, to let the leaders by and get on through the race. So that's a real important thing to do. And again, you have to time yourself as a driver to try and catch that car in the right place.
Well, David's having a little trouble getting by Hillis. Now he's going to try it in turn 3. He goes to the high side. And Hillis will go a lap down. Holmes is coming right behind him. And here comes Duncan and Peyton Sellers in the 16 car.
Yeah, so 3/8 mile. We get around this track some 14, 15 seconds was our pole speed, so it does not take long to get around this racetrack. If you're more than a second or so off, some 10 laps, you'll be getting lapped. So you have to pay attention. It's a tough job for the spotters. Spotters have to be aware of what's going on, tell their drivers, hey, the leaders are coming, get it to the bottom and stay out of the way. It's important to stay on the very bottom when the leaders work their way around you.
So far, everybody's been pretty patient around this racetrack. We kind of got in line a little bit in some recent races in the East Series and West Series we've seen on HDNet here. I think patience is a good word to use here early.
Well, it really is, and as a driver, you have to know that the bottom is really the preferred line here. We do have a second groove, and we did work it in, and that's proven to be effective. But what these drivers have done, they've all made themselves become single file, and knowing that this is a bull ring, and if you got on that outside, you get freight trains. So getting single file early is real important here at a track like this.
Well, if you're wondering about the rules on this racetrack here in Kyle, Texas, 200 laps will make up the race, and as you can see, a lap goes by very quickly. We will stop the race and lap 100, and they will be able to change 2 tires. There is a 6 tire rule. You get the 4 you start on, and you have 2 available to you. Any other tires have to be approved by NASCAR to change. So that's the rules of the race. And I would think that my point being is in the first 100 laps, I don't think a lot of you guys are going to try anything crazy.
No, they're not. And if your car's off a little bit, especially if you go back to the back, I mean, as long as you stay on the lead lap, that's so important. And just stay on the lead lap, get the car fixed in the halfway point, and you can be ready to go again. See him working around a 33 car there with Mark Schultz.
Mark's out of St. George, Texas. It's his first race ever in this series, so he's just trying to get comfortable in that race car. Now, Eric Holmes looks like he's wanting to get a little racy with our leader, Mike David. He's right on his bumper.
Yeah, he looks real good. He looks right through the center of the corner, right through this portion of the corner. Looks like Holmes able to pick the throttle up a little earlier and get a run on him off the corner. So, again, 18 laps into this race, he's not going to be too aggressive. He's going to work his way through traffic and wait for the perfect time to pass him.
Yeah, you don't want to make a mistake. Myers, boy, he's having some trouble with lap traffic. Myers, a 2-time winner this year in car 44.
Yep, Myers is, unfortunately, last week at Dover, ran the East race and kind of destroyed the car there at Dover, a fast track, and fortunate for them. Timmy Cahoots, crew chief on that car, just had a bad weekend at Dover. Brought the road race car here today.
Matter of fact, they have converted that car to a mobile track car. That car is yellow. You know, most of his cars have been red. The reason it's yellow is they bought that car from Mike Olson, who we want to congratulate for winning the E-Series championship today. The E-Series racing at Lime Rock. And Mike Olson finished third and clinched the championship. Ruben Pardo won that race, his first ever win in the series. Our congratulations to him and to Mike Olson, who's won his second championship. And that 44 is a former Mike Olson race car.
Yeah, and it is a road race car, so it is set up a little bit different. It's set up to make right and left-hand corners. We have to change some control arms, different types of adjustments like that to get the car right. So they did have to make some major changes on that car to get that car turned left.
Mike David, Eric Holmes continue to set the pace in this race. Mike Duncan running third. He seems to be very comfortable. Battling for 13th place. Austin Cameron not near where he wants to be.
Well, Jim Englebright also not near where he wants to be. Talking to Jim earlier today, and he said the car just did not feel good. We could not get in the racetrack. They changed all 4 springs, all the shocks, changed the track bar, moved the sway bar, did a lot of adjustments on the one car, and just could not get that car right. And obviously it's not quite yet to his liking, running in the 13th position.
Englebright hasn't run full-time in this series. You're hearing the word of the spotter there of Mike David.
Spotter telling us it's clear. What we like to hear as a driver, especially working through traffic. Tight little bull ring like this.
We saw Jim Englebright a moment ago. He's coming off his best finish of the year. He finished second at Fontana. Eric Holmes in that 62. What a story he's been. He's yet to win a race this year. But you look at his top 5s, and it's absolutely incredible. And he has finished second 4 times. Yellow's out. Caution is out for the first time tonight.
It's like the 09 car there.
That's Bruce Betts, a rookie out of Colorado Springs, driving the Dick Midgley car, and he brings out the first caution. Let's see if we can see what happens. Right side of your screen. Whoa, get out of the way, folks.
Something about this racetrack, guys. No wall on the outside, except down the front straightaway.
That'd be a little scary, wouldn't it? He's standing over there.
It is, but as a driver, you know, it's forgiven. If there would have been a wall there, he would be out of the race for the night. You know, here all we do is have to clean a little of the dirt out of the inside and scuff them tires, get the dirt off of them, and go to racing again. So that's the good part about tracks with no wall. The bad part is, you know, if you get off that racetrack running some 70, 80 mile an hour, you might end up on your roof.
My point is those people that were sitting over there, I had to make their hearts beat just a little faster.
They're not there anymore, yes. When they start heading towards the tire barriers, it's time to move.
I'm moving quick.
But as you see, no outside retaining wall, except down the front straightaway as they make the front stretch. And the front stretch is actually, you know, a corner all the way through it. There's really not a straightaway down the front stretch. A little bit of a tribal action, so kind of a different type of racing facility that we're used to.
We had another car just pull off the racetrack. Matter of fact, 2 of them. Bobby Hillis, and I think Jack Sellers was the other one. So Sellers, Hillis, and Brett Thompson having all. No, Sellers is still on the racetrack.
Yep, Sellers still on there.
It might have been Randy Lynch.
Sellers, a veteran. 203 starts for Jack Sellers in this series.
There's Hillis pulling into his garage area. Don't know if he'll be able to get back in or not. But so we've got 3 cars right now out of the race of the 22 who started. But they're going under the hood on Hillis's car, yeah.
Possibly sounded like it was backfiring as it came by, possibly a spark plug issue or something.
He's had a tough year. Bobby Hillis out of Phoenix, Arizona, as you saw, finished 33rd in the race at Fontana last race. Has not had a top 10 this year, only once in the series. And not going to get it here tonight as we're under caution for the first time. We've completed just over 30 laps, and again 70 laps from now we'll stop and take a halftime break. Change tires.
When you double up.
You hear the spotter of Eric Holmes in the 62 car. We'll explain that double up to you. That unlike in the NASCAR Busch Series or Nextel Cup, the leaders all line up double file to restart. Lap cars go to the back. In a lot of other series, a lap car gets to pull up on the inside, but not here in the Grand National Series. And it really has been a good rule, Dan, to have these double file restarts. It is made for some exciting racing here.
No, it does. And what it also does is it builds some rubber up on the outside of the racetrack. It forces the cars to go double wide and put some rubber down. And that's important for two-wide racing later on in the race.
Now, the leader has the choice. Start inside or start outside. And Mike David is going to start inside.
Back out. Yellow is back out.
We thought the green was going to come out, but as you heard, yellow. For some reason, NASCAR has not approved the start. We'll try to get a word from NASCAR on why they kept the caution out. The pace car is coming back out on the track.
That could have been disastrous also. A lot of times when we come to the green flag like that, when we're ready to go green, if the guys do not get the word from their spotters way back in the pack, it could cause a major logjam. But these guys did a good job to keep that from happening.
All right, understand the reason that the yellow came back out is that the cars weren't lined up absolutely correct. So they're getting a hold of the spotters and getting these cars lined up, and we will go green this time. That makes it's a little more difficult when you're going 2 by 2 to get everybody lined up correctly to restart.
Oh, it does. And you know, through years of racing, that's why these guys are in this series. I mean, we learn how to line cars up, and it's important that you know your position, your spotter tells you, and get up there like right now, because you don't want to waste laps and laps trying to get the lineup right.
All right, we're going to hear Mike David's spotter here on the restart as we get ready to go back to green after the first caution of the night. Green's out.
Outside, still there. You see him outside. Still there. Outside, still there. Still there. Outside. Clear, all clear. Outside.
It is tough.
On your corner, still there, outside.
On your corner,
still there.
On the rear quarter panel, and Holmes is
On
putting
your
up
corner,
a good fight.
still there.
Yeah, he is, and he knows if he can get off that corner and get a good run, on the outside is going to be tough, but he needs that bottom side. But look at Peyton Sellers in the 16
I was going to tell you, Danny can't get back down in there. He almost ran into Peyton Sellers trying to get down low, and now Eric Holmes is stuck up on the high side. He's going to lose probably another position. Now he does get in line. He'll be third.
See him pull down in front of Mike David. So important to get back down there. He was working that outside, which enabled the 16 car, Peyton Sellers, to pull up on that bottom side and take position from him.
You can pour all the Coke syrup you want. That second groove up high is not the place to run.
No, not quite yet. It's not working. Again, when we get some more rubber down here later in the race, you know, it might get better, but it's not quite the place yet to race side by side.
And that's an old trick, putting the Coke syrup up on a groove and getting the drivers to run around and try to get it sticky and put that groove in. And drivers I talked to said, yeah, it works for a few laps, then forget about it.
Well, that's it too, and sometimes it's a mental game. I mean, they tell us, you know, they put the syrup down and there's traction down there, but as a driver, when you drive off in that corner, you know, pushing the envelope and the car don't stick, it doesn't matter what kind of syrup you put down there. I'm not going back around that racetrack up there on the high side. So it is a tough deal to do. To get rubber down on that outside, the only way you're going to do that is put cones down at the bottom or just put a curve down there and force them drivers up the racetrack.
Peyton Sellers has one win this year. The rookie leads the rookie points. He won in Roseburg, Oregon. Sellers in that 16 running second under contract to Richard Childress. Oh, a car goes around and Tim Woods. Tim Woods, who had disaster at Fontana when his car caught on fire, spins and brings out the second caution of the night. Tim Woods out of Chino Hills, California. He has had some good runs this year, but let's see if he got helped in turning this car around. There's Jim Englebright in the one.
Yep, Jim's on the outside, and he returned the favor. I don't believe he liked Tim run up the racetrack, and Jim said, I'm not sure you should have done that, and drove right back in the back. So he gets spun around. Luckily, all the cars make it by safely. Could have been a lot worse.
Well, Tim indeed had some help turning that car around, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
But it looks like the damage might be worse on Englebright's car than it is on Tim Woods. The rear of the car knocked up a little bit, but it looks like it's pretty good. And the one, Jim Englebright, I think is going to be penalized for rough driving here.
Well, it's possible, but it's also possible the 54 car may have gotten out of the gas, lost a little traction on that groove because he was coming off the corner, got into Englebright, maybe got out of the gas, and Jim just got into it because Jim was fully in the gas.
Well, we just had it confirmed by NASCAR. Englebright going to be posted here. He is going to be penalized for rough driving, and he's not going to be happy. That's happened to him before this year.
Yep, it's been a bumping and banging year for the Jelly Belly car.
Jim Englebright has we look at it again, one series win. This is only his second full-time year in the series.
Yeah, he gave him a good kick there. I mean, you know, the question is whether Tim Woods lost traction and got totally out of the gas, and, you know, Englebright stayed in the gas. But it's just a little early for that as a driver, you know, 45 laps in the race, and now you know, you go to the back and you've got radiator issues because you've knocked the nose of the race car in, and your night's over. So you just have to kind of weigh that, something like that before.
Boy, and how about this? Justin Lofton, who's had a great season, the 20-year-old from Westmoreland, California, taking advantage here on this caution, the second of the night, to come down on pit road.
Justin, college student, raced off-road racing cars, Pikes Peak, hill climbs.
He finished third in the last race at Fontana.
Yep. Raced a lot at Irwindale, holds the record.
Or 24th, rather. He does have a couple of top fives this year. He had a top 5 at Sonoma. Knows how to run those road courses. So we're under caution here. There is Justin Lofton. They made a quick adjustment on the car, and maybe Candace Kruger can head over to Jim Englebright and find out how serious the damage is on that car. He is behind the wall. There, he's back out now. But they had to take the hood up on that car, and obviously there is some front-end damage. Rodney Haygood and the crew went to work. One thing you know about Jim Englebright, you're always going to get some jelly beans when you come to the racetrack.
Absolutely. I've done 10 or 12 packs of them today.
Is that why you're so wired tonight?
Get me a little bloated. Feel good about them jelly bellies.
Oh, eat too many, you will have a jelly belly. All right, 1 to go when they get to the line, and it'll again be Mike David on the outside, but this on the inside. But this time on the outside, it's going to be Peyton Sellers. And Eric Holmes will be starting on the second row on the inside. So we'll see how Peyton Sellers can run up in this high groove when we go back to green. Sellers had a good season. He is the Dodge Weekly Series defending national champion. That got him this ride by way of Richard Childress.
Yep. His car is looking good. He made some major adjustments, too, for qualifying. He said he liked it.
And we're going to listen to his spotter here on the restart. Oh, they touch. Oh, my goodness.
Keep coming. Come on, little by little, bud. Little by little.
Peyton Sellers and Mike David got together right after that restart.
Still there. Come on, bring it on home now. Come on. Come on. Come on. Clear, clear.
Wonder if there's any tire rub on Mike David's car.
Coming back on your inside. He's there.
He just drove it down in the corner, got it loose down in the center. Unfortunately, couldn't get back in the gas. Mike David drove back by.
62. He's inside. Still there. Still there. Clear, clear.
Well, great job by Peyton Sellers. You heard his spotter making the call, getting him back in line.
Wanted to work that outside. He had it. He had a good run. He got the momentum. Just drove back down into one a little too deep. And the car just lost grip down in the center of the corner.
Well, that's Saturday night short track racing. A lot of bumping going on. And you saw Peyton Sellers and Mike David get together on that restart.
Yep, he was working the outside hard. He knew he could not lose no ground. Again, you have to get off the corner. You have to get back in the gas. And again, it's like, you know, you gotta not spin the rear tires. See, as he drives down in the corner, whoop, gets right in the back end of Mike David.
Mike David's doing a good job hanging on to that race car with people bumping and banging on him. Now here comes Eric Holmes to take second place away.
Mike says, I think I'll check out. Getting a little rough back there for me. Time to go.
Steve Portgay has made his way up to fourth, and he'll be challenging Sellers for third in a moment.
Something about, you know, the two-car, Mike David, we've gone to Stockton, we go to these tracks, he's able to run in that groove and a half to 2 grooves up. He's got something figured out. He's got good bite off the race car. When he gets back in the throttle right here, he's able to get right back down on the gas and hold it almost wide open, and it's so important to get a run on these short tracks, and he's got it figured out.
You saw Justin Lofton a moment ago behind the wall. He got right back into the race. He's had some good runs this year. What was the story, Candace?
He thought he was having a tire problem, thought he had a flat tire, came back and checked that out. Everything was fine. Jim Englebright, on the other hand, in the one car, is having motor problems. He is dropping a cylinder. They're trying to determine right now if they're going to try to bring him back behind the wall or wait until the break. Guys.
All right, Candace, thanks a lot. So a tough night for Lofton and for Englebright, but so far a pretty darn good night for Mike David. But the top 2 in the points are 1 and 2 in this race. Holmes came into the race with a 27-point lead. the race to go here tonight in Kyle, Texas. And then the final race of the year will be at Altamont Speedway in California. Oh, did you see Holmes bump inside there? The little bump and run right there.
Still there.
He's got to get the run. He's got to go down the stretch here and beat him down to the next corner. Push him up a little bit high, and that's what Eric does to take the lead.
Beat him was the word. He just knocked him up high. Kind of move I used to see Dan Partis make on a Saturday night full ring.
Yep, rocking and rolling. That's what it's about. You got to get that run down the straightaway, but the only way you're going to get that run is get good bite off the corner. Right through the center right here. You got to be back on the throttle. You got to be wide open to get a good slingshot effect down that next corner. He's able to do that.
Eric Holmes now the leader of the race. One of the advantages of leading, obviously, is you pick up 5 extra points towards the championship. Now, Eric Holmes also ran full-time this season in the Southwest Elite Series, and you heard Candace Kruger allude to this when she interviewed him. He won the last 2 races in the Southwest Series and lost the championship to Rick Michaels by 1 point. How heartbreaking that had to be.
It had to be tough, and you know, he's a good competitor. Lots of late model victories at Stockton. Like you said, Southwest Series, lots of wins there. He's been in a lot of different race cars. Obviously patient, and patience is the key word to win championships and be consistent. And that's what Eric has done. He's been very, very consistent through the year. No wins, but always been up there in the top 5. That's what it's about.
Holmes and David, obviously the class there of the race tonight. Johnny Borneman, he told me he has struggled here all day long. He said they just came with the wrong setup. Caution's out. There is a car that has spun coming off of turn 3. That is Andrew Myers. Myers, and things don't look good. We see some.
Looks like it's overheating a little bit. Steam coming out from underneath the hood. See the little hose there on the right front.
Right.
That's where we blow the overflow from the radiator when it overheats. That tells the driver, it tells the crew that the engine's overheating. Of course, we have a temperature gauge, but sometimes it don't always work, or sometimes we as drivers don't always look at it.
Andrew Myers out of Huntington Beach, California. He won this year at Phoenix. He won at Irwindale. He is not going to win here tonight in Kyle, Texas. Well, under caution here, it has been Mike David and Eric Holmes so far. They have dominated here in Texas. It was the second race of the season. It was at Phoenix International Raceway, and you saw the trouble Andrew Myers was having a moment ago. He didn't have that kind of trouble at Phoenix. His car was red that night, and it was Andrew Myers who drove to his first win ever in this series. He would have another one before we arrived here at Kyle, Texas, but tonight his car has been pushed behind the wall, not under power at all. Where we saw the strength of Eric Holmes a moment ago as he put his 62 out front, got those 5 bonus points. For more on his run here tonight, here's Candace.
Well, guys, you wouldn't guess it by watching Eric Holmes, but he's actually down about 50 or 60 horsepower. They think he may have broken a valve spring. They're going to take a look at that at the break. Is that something that he might be able to fix during that 15 minutes?
Well, if it's a valve spring, yeah, they can get that changed probably in about 10 minutes if they have all the parts. It's going to be tough, but got to get the valve cover off, pull spark plug wires off, get that valve spring changed. But hopefully it hasn't done any other damage. That's so important, because if the valve drops, which obviously it hasn't done yet, that car looks like it runs so well right now that we would have, it'd be detrimental to them. So right now it don't appear to be affecting them too much.
All right, they're lining up 2 by 2. Light is out on the caution car, and we should be going back to green. Eric Holmes has the choice, and he starts inside. This is our first look now. We're going to see what Mike David does starting on the outside in that upper, not very much preferred groove.
Nope, and David's been so superior on these restarts on the outside. We'll just have to see how he does.
Outside, still there. Still outside. Still there. You're clear.
No, you just can't run up there.
No.
You just can't do it.
Not the grip that you like. You're just not able to get that run off the corner, and that's what we have to get down the stretch, whether it be the front stretch or the back stretch, to beat the next guy into the next one.
Well, it sure doesn't look like there's much wrong with Eric Holmes' race car right now.
Nope, it really don't.
Great restart.
And I tell you, guys, you could be off a little bit on power, and I'm talking some 10 to 20 horsepower possibly, and still be good because it'll keep a driver from spinning his rear tires coming off these corners. These cars have 620, 600 to 620 horsepower, and it's so easy to spin them rear tires and lose adhesion, which slows you down the straightaway. So a car that was 10 to 15, maybe 20 horsepower off, as long as it stays consistent, will be just as good as a car with all the horsepower, because the driver, it'll enable that driver to be able to mash that throttle down to the floorboard a little bit quicker, a little bit smoother transaction to keep them from spinning them rear tires.
Eric Holmes has now stretched his lead over Mike David. Holmes, he's just a great story. I've been so impressed by the way this guy has driven all year. With one race car, Dan. One race car. He wasn't even going to run the entire season when the year started, but he did so well at the beginning. They just kept bringing that car back to race after race after race. They haven't won, but they've been consistent, and here they are coming in trying to get a championship.
Now, and that means a lot to have one race car. Knowing that in the back of your head, it just makes you take care of your equipment that much more. You see Portgay and Austin Cameron, 5th and 6th position. These two cars have, kind of been back and forth, but Steve Portgay, he waits to the end to get the job done. He waits, if he comes in that 100 lap mark, makes some adjustments, he'll start getting real aggressive in the second half of this race. So I look for him to be up in that top 3 in the second half for sure.
Austin Cameron has made the biggest move in the race as we're under 20 laps till the halftime break. Cameron, who started 11th, is now running 6th. So Austin Cameron has made a big move. Now, one guy who's not making a move anywhere is Andrew Myers. We saw him leave the track. He was not under power when they left the racetrack. Candace, what's the story on the 44?
Well, Mike, not good news for Andrew Myers. In his word, his motor is cooked. He is done for the night, guys.
Okay, tough break. He really wasn't running for the championship anyway. He's run a bunch of different circuits this year. He's run some ARCA. He's run some NASCAR East Series races.
Battle for second here. Peyton Sellers has really come alive. And, seen earlier a little bit of contact between Peyton and Mike David. A little left front damage fender on Peyton Sellers' car, but don't appear to be affecting the car at this point.
But Dan, with 15 laps, we've got a caution out. There's a spin by Brian Eichler, a young rookie, and the yellow's out. And with 15 laps to go, just how racy are you going to get? Until you get to the halfway break.
Well,
you don't want to take too many chances.
No, you're right. You're pretty much set what you got at that point. I mean, if the car's tight, if the car's a little loose, it's not going to get any better, especially in the next 15 laps. Try to maintain your position, wait for that yellow caution to come out, and then make your adjustments. And as a driver, as a spotter, we have to remember that, and that's what will help us keep us successful.
See if we can see what happened to Eichler.
It's like Eichler just got turned around there.
Well, another Mark Schultz and Jack Sellers able to get by, and Eichler, who's had some top 10s this year, actually finished second at Sonoma. Just 20 years old out of San Diego.
Another Bill McAnally entry. Another youngster that's trying to make a name for himself.
He's had a good year.
Run Baja cars, off-road desert racer.
He's in the top 10 in points. He's currently 9th coming into this race, Brian Eichler.
Likes to do a lot of snowboarding, a little surfing, wakeboarding in his time off.
Typical 20-year-old California.
A little bit of everything. Living a dream.
Under caution here in Kyle, Texas at the Allstate Texas Thunder 200. It's a great quarter mile, Stockton 99 Speedway, and the West Series saying goodbye to it this year as that racetrack is closing down.
Yep.
And we've seen a lot of great events there, and one thing kind of neat this year that in both the Stockton races, the hometown guy, Mike David, won both of the races there. He grew up racing at that track. His dad raced there, and Mike David won both of the races in Stockton, California this year, and it's one of the reasons he's in second place in the point standings. And right now he's running second in this race, but kind of the guy who leads the points, Eric Holmes.
Yep, and again, he was so dominant at that racetrack, able to run in that second groove. That was one short track that he was able just to run on that outside, and by doing that, I think he's learned a lot about the car and learned a lot about what he needs to do to run on the short tracks and be on the outside. And that's why he's a little bit more favored at tracks like this where you have to run on the outside sometimes.
Light is off on the caution car. Will be going back green when they hit the start-finish line. It'll be Eric Holmes on the inside, Mike David on the outside, and right behind them, Peyton Sellers, and a guy we haven't talked a lot about tonight, Dan, Mike Duncan. Want to see how he does on this restart. He's in the white 9 car, 2-time defending champion of this series.
62 car spotter, Eric Holmes.
Outside. Still there. Still there.
Peyton Sellers trying to make it 3 wide. You can't do it on this track.
No, he's looking on the bottom of the track.
Oh, my goodness, as they come out of 4.
Setting that car down. Oh, contact.
Peyton Sellers is going to turn around.
Wow.
I don't think anybody hit him. Oh, Jim Englebright just clipped him.
Jack Sellers involved.
It looked like Sellers was going to get out of that unscathed, and then there came Englebright. He had nowhere to go, and there is heavy, heavy damage now on the 16 car. I tell you, when Peyton Sellers, 6 laps to go to halfway, and look at this.
Yep, he gets in the left rear corner of David and just gets turned around. Not sure why, because there was plenty of racetrack, it looked like, on the bottom of the racetrack.
And Dan, my point on this is you're 6 laps from halfway.
I agree.
You're 6 laps from stopping and putting new tires on and making adjustments. Why try to go 3 wide at that point?
Yep, and again, it's a learning experience. You know, Peyton's obviously behind the wheel of that race car. He knows exactly what happened there. But as a rookie, and that's something we learn in these series, is I'm sure that, you know, in the future he'll look back at this and say, you know, did I do quite the right thing there? Maybe I should be a little bit more patient. Done that. You do stuff like that more on the last lap of the race than you do in the halfway point.
You know, there's one thing to being aggressive and being a racer, which Peyton Sellers certainly is. He's got all the talent in the world. But really, with 6 laps before halfway, my point is there's no need to try to go 3 wide.
No, I mean, I agree with you totally.
I mean, it's fun for us to watch, but it has cost Peyton Sellers a chance to win this race.
Yep. See, he drives. He's already sideways there. He just gets in the left rear corner of Mike David. And
now watch, everybody misses him. Tim Woods, Porton Gay, Austin Cameron,
Gaylord,
and Jim Englebright. Ouch, right there.
Back of him, Jack Sellers got a little bit of the right front. That car's used up. He's riding around, obviously.
It looks like the toe is really messed up on that car, too.
There's really no rear deck lid left on the race car. It's been pulled down and knocked totally off the race car. The rear deck lid's just hanging by the tethers. We have tethers that hold these deck lids on these race cars in case of accidents like that to keep it from flying off the racetrack.
All right, let's watch this restart again and watch the aggressiveness of Peyton Sellers in the 16 right here.
Get a good start here, but he starts looking towards the bottom awful early. Looking now for 3 wide. Can't quite do it. Gets back in line. Drives up on Eric Holmes. Looks to the bottom. Says, hey, let's try and make this 3 wide. No, he can't do it. Gets back in line. Tires down.
Here's where he tried to go 3 wide. Right here.
Yep. Gets in the back of Eric. A little bit there. Gets the car straight. But he was still trying to regain from, you know, coming off turn 4. And again, the front straightaway here is the big circle. So you never really do get straight. You know, if the car wiggled a little bit off of 4, he was never actually straight when he got into the back of Mike David.
Now, if you're wondering, what in the heck is he doing running around with that sheet metal just hanging out on the pavement? Why is he not going to the attention of his crew? Because he is still on the lead lap. And it looks like we are going to get this halftime break under caution. We're 3 laps away from it. So if he can hang out there and ride around under 3 laps, you know, maybe they can get some stuff cut away and he can continue on. But that's going to be tough. By the way, there is some serious smoke coming out of Jim Englebright's rear end. He's not going to be long for this world either.
Yep, looks like Englebright possibly little nose damage to that may have knocked the oil cooler. The oil coolers are on the front sections of these race cars.
And so we're going to try to go green.
Knock some oil lines off that car. We will go green for what, 2 laps?
1 lap, and I guess we'll get 1 lap of green in because we are completed 98 right now. And look, it'll be interesting to see, is Peyton Sellers going to restart this race? Is Jack Sellers going to restart this race? Both of them got damage on their race car.
Yes, they will. And the bumper cover will not last more than my bets are a half a lap on Peyton Sellers' car.
I don't know if Peyton Sellers can get that car up to speed. He's hanging back. He's going to start at the rear.
NASCAR has shaken the black flag at him, told him black flagged it, but, you know, being with 1 lap, And I'm not sure if
you've got 3 laps to acknowledge it, man.
So he can ride around here for 1 lap. He just needs to ease around here, just get the car through.
Well, again, he's not going to get lapped on this 1 lap because here comes, I guess, the red flag's getting ready to come out. The yellow is back out. So, you know what? Smart move by Peyton Sellers. Stay out there, stay on the lead lap, restart.
Yep, and then whatever you got left.
Well, he's getting the black flag, but this race is going to be stopped. It's time for the halftime break. We'll see if there's any penalty administered to Peyton Sellers. We'll get in touch with NASCAR and see what they think about that deal.
The longest line.
Hey, quick. That is correct.
We'll go to the tail end of the longest line. Obviously,
well, Sellers has just pulled off the racetrack. And we are 100 laps into this race, and we have not stopped yet.
I said, I believe 100, lap 101, we will stop.
All right.
And then bring the cars into the pits.
Well, the flagman has the red flag in his hand, and that's going to signify stopping the race. And they are Peyton Sellers to the attention of his crew, led by Dwayne Knorr. And there are all the cars. Saying goodbye to the fans for just a few minutes. And we're scheduled to have a 10-minute break here. And you see they are going to the very dark garage area, and they will be allowed to change 2 tires.
Yep, 2 tires and any other adjustment you would like. I mean, you can change shocks, you can change springs, change sway bar, anything you can do in 10 minutes, you're allowed to do. So, you know, guys could be coming in making major changes to these cars to try and help the handling on these race cars. Now's the time to do it.
Mike David, you saw, leads the race. Eric Holmes is second. Steve Portengay has made his way to third. And a young man we haven't talked about at all today, Eric Harden, is fourth. And Mike Duncan is fifth. That's the way they will restart, putting some fuel into Duncan's car. So we'll be back to tell you about the changes some of these drivers are making here at the halftime break in the Allstate Texas Thunder 200. We've had a lot of excitement here tonight. You see a pretty good crowd here at the Thunder Hill Raceway and the Allstate Texas Thunder 200. We are halfway through. I'm Mike Hogwood along with Dan Partis up here in the booth. Candace Kruger is behind the wall with all those cars who are making adjustments. And again, they can change 2 tires and make any other adjustments they really want to make here in the 10-minute halftime break. And it's going to be interesting to see who is making what kind of adjustments. Well, our leader is Mike David, and I think Candace is down by his car.
I sure am. Mike, we're 100 laps down. Are you pleased with how the cars performed so far?
Car's just a little bit tight, though. Guys are going to make some adjustments, see if we can't give the 62 car a run.
And, of course, Eric Holmes has been in your rearview mirror most of the race. You've got to be pleased with that.
Yeah, but now he's in front of us, and he's pretty fast, so I hate what happened with the 16 car. I thought I had him cleared. I guess I just didn't give him enough room. Didn't mean for that to happen.
Didn't do too much damage on the car, though, right?
On ours, fortunately not, but I guess his is wrecked up pretty bad.
Good luck, Mike.
Thanks.
Well, I'll tell you what, Mike thinks that the 62's out front, but on the scoring monitor that I have, Mike David is going to restart this race out front, and that's pretty gracious of Mike David because I know that he didn't intentionally try to do that. Peyton Sellers certainly didn't intentionally try to wreck there.
No, it was just a close call, and again, looked like there was plenty of room down on the bottom of the racetrack. Not sure if Peyton didn't want to use it all.
Well, if you haven't been with us for the first 100 laps, it has been pretty exciting. Let's go back and check things out. Lap 27, it was Bruce Betts. It was those folks down there at third floor. Lap 43, Jim Englebright, Tim Woods get together. Englebright was penalized.
Getting back in 6th place, recovered from that.
Woods is actually having a great run, and then here's the
Sellers.
Oh my goodness! So watch Englebright right there.
Yep, put the tail off. Jack Sellers got a little right front action. Caved the right front of that race car in. Tough break for Peyton Sellers. Running so good, and again, 7 laps before halfway, and not sure exactly why we got quite so aggressive.
Well, you know, I think Peyton Sellers has a bright future in front of him, and one of the ways that you really make it in this sport, in this business, is that you have to be aggressive. But one of the things you learn is when to pick your battles and to pick your spots in the race, or whether just to hang in there. But it's hard to tell a race driver that. Eric Holmes has had a great run tonight. He is coming in as the points leader, and right now he is going to restart on the front row, and he's with Candace.
Eric, not a lot of action going on around your car right now. Does that mean you're pretty pleased with it?
Yeah, I think we're pretty good. It's been a lot of action on the racetrack, though, man. It's a pretty racy place, and we're having a good time. We're just trying to lead some laps and pull off a victory tonight.
What, if any, changes have you guys made?
I think we're just going to leave it. I'm a tiny bit tight, but we're just going to leave it. And I got to say hi to my car owner, Alan Beebe, and everybody at my mom's restaurant, Shorty's in Escalon. I hope everybody's having a good time watching the race.
You've got to feel pretty good with how things have gone so far for the first 100 laps.
Yeah, it's been good. It's rough out there, man. I mean, me and Mike David are racing hard, and everybody. I mean, it's been a fun race, so it's a fun track, and I'm proud to be here.
Is the track coming around at all? How's that outside groove?
I mean, you can kind of hang out there, but it's definitely the bottom's the way around. You know, you definitely want to be on the bottom, and there's a little bit of outside groove, but you don't want to get hung out there too long.
Thanks, Eric.
You know, it's an interesting sign when you come in for the halftime break, and not only do you not make any changes, you don't even put the window net down. I think Eric Holmes is saying, okay, let's get this over with. I want to get back out on that racetrack and go after it. He is feeling good about his race car.
Well, he is, and as a driver, I mean, when you got a car that's that dominant, that's the last thing we want to do is stop. I mean, we don't want to see a yellow flag. We don't want to see nothing. We want to see the white flag because we know we've got the equipment that no one can beat in that given night. But we come in, the tires cool down. You've got to be careful that the guys don't go make any changes. If you're a little bit tight, just leave it alone because obviously looks like he's about a half a tenth faster than any car on the racetrack. He's got good bite off the corners, so he is the class of the field here tonight.
And we'll give our own hello to Shorty's Restaurant in Escalon, California. Glad they're watching on HDNet, and they have seen Peyton Sellers get his car flat out torn up. Candace is over there with a hard-working crew.
I sure am, Mike, and unfortunately we're going to be speaking to Peyton outside of the car, which I know is not where he wants to be. Peyton, tell us what happened out there.
I'll tell you, Candace, it was just a tough night for us. We had a really good car. Everybody, Dwayne, Bill, everybody pitched in really hard today. It's my first time seeing the track was this morning, and we had an awesome car. I'll tell you, the Napa car really was running good tonight. I don't know what happened on that, restart there. I don't know if, Mike David cut me off a little bit or if I just got in there too hard. It could have happened either way. So just thankful to be out here. Good Lord's taking care of us. I'm okay, so I guess that's a good thing. Cars hurt pretty bad right now. They're going to try to get it back out there, but just for points, if anything. So, like I said, I just hate it for everybody involved. Napa Belts and Hoses, Napa Auto Parts, and, tough week, but we'll get them at Altamont. Now we're just racing for a top 5 in points and Rookie of the Year. So we'll just fix this car back, come back to Altamont and get us a win there. So, tough night, but it's the way it goes.
Well, and like you said, we are pleased that you're okay. That's what's most important. It looked like you were trying to drive 3 wide out there. How did that go?
Yeah, I'll tell you, our car was really good. We worked good on the outside, as, we showed on a couple of restarts there. And, like I said, we just had a good car. We were just trying to make it to that halfway break, put some tires on it, and go race in the second 100. Thought I caught myself doing what we needed to do, but it didn't work out.
Thanks, Peyton.
Thank you.
Tough break.
All right.
Hey, guys, and as a driver, my hat's off to him. He said maybe I got in there a little bit too hot, maybe shoved the nose a little bit, and that's what it looked like to me. He just got in a little deep and just lost the nose, and it got in the back of Mike David's car. I mean, these things happen, and that's what we're here for. In these series, he's gonna be a heck of a driver. He's got a bright future ahead of him. He's 22 years old. He's going to do some Busch South racing. He's going to try and make the Busch South race in Ted Marsh's car, the 31 car at Memphis here in a few weeks. So, best of luck to Peyton Sellers, and we'll hear a lot from him, I'm sure, in the future.
By the way, he's been penalized by NASCAR 5 laps. Englebright's been penalized 5 laps for that wreck, and Jack Sellers been penalized 5 laps as well. Here is the halfway standing. Mike David leads the Allstate Texas Thunder 200 in Kyle, Texas. We go back to the first of 2 races at Irwindale. This in late May, Memorial Weekend, and Peyton Sellers ran strong in that race. Austin Cameron had a massive accident. What a hit that was.
It was. Car over on the roof. Just a tremendous shot, but he was A-OK.
And we saw Andrew Myers win at Phoenix. He won this race at Irwindale. Again, his engine has gone out. He is out of this race here in Kyle, Texas, here tonight. But not the story for Mike David, who will start first in this race, and he gets the advantage of starting on the inside. Mike Duncan will restart 5th. Candace, so what did they do during this halftime break? Hello, Candace.
Okay, I hear you guys now. Sorry about that. I'm
That's
having
all
a little
right.
bit of IFB problems. Yes, I spoke to Mike Duncan. He confirmed what we've seen all night. He said the top line isn't nearly as fast as the inside. He said the restarts are just killing him having to start on the outside, guys. He'll be glad that he'll be starting on the inside right now.
Right.
Well, thanks, Candace. He also said he made some adjustments. He changed the left front shock on the 9 car and made a track bar adjustment, moved the track bar up on that race car, which actually loosens the race car up. One of the few drivers that are complaining about a real tight condition here tonight. So he did loosen the 9 car up, so we'll have to see if that really helps him, mainly through the center of the corner.
By the way, if you're wondering what kind of problem Candace had, an IFB problem, basically means you can't hear.
Yeah,
So
that means
that's a problem.
My hearing aid don't work.
And you know what? She has an interruptible fallback problem.
Yep, well, you'll have to explain that too.
I have no idea what that is, but it's shortened to IFB, and it just means you cannot hear.
I got you.
So, you're ready for the restarts here. And
see the 54 car, Tim Woods, currently running in 6th position. He's got to be real happy with that. Started here tonight in 15th, was involved in an early on spin, but worked his way back up there in the top 6, and got to be thrilled with his running position at the halfway point here.
Yeah. Mike Duncan, we were talking about that, he should be starting on the inside. Tim Woods, who had, as you said, had a spin, and I was just happy to see him here after getting out of that race car after it caught on fire at Fontana.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Hey, you ready for some hockey? We are, because hockey is back on HDNet. They're strapping their skates on and the ice is ready. HDNet is going to provide live 1080i high-definition national coverage all season long. Join us for our first game from Pittsburgh as Sidney Crosby and Sergei Gonchar battle it out with Atlantic Division rival Philadelphia. Simone Gagne and Peter Forsberg look to keep the Flyers on their winning ways. It's the Penguins and the Flyers. Thursday night, October 5th at 7:30 Eastern. Hockey is back, and it's on HDNet. It's just like being there. Glad you're here with us tonight. This is our final NASCAR race of the season on HDNet. The next to last race here in this Grand National West Series. They'll race at Altamont Speedway in California to close out the season. The East Series, which you've seen a lot of on HDNet, closed out their season today in Lime Rock on the road course. Our congratulations again to Ruben Pardo, who won that race, and to Mike Olson, who by finishing 3rd wins his 2nd Grand National East Championship. Great year for Mike Olson and his team.
The crowd, great crowd on hand here tonight at Kyle, Texas. Just lots of activities going on.
You know, we haven't talked a lot about this, but CT Hellman, who drives the 39 car, also put this race together here and promoted this event. And there was a great band here, all kinds of things for kids to do. I saw Dan getting a tattoo put on his arm out there.
Don't tell.
Yeah, and I love that shaved ice machine that they got over there. Oh, Eric Holmes having trouble firing his car. Look at this, Dan. He's having to get the car pushed to try to restart, but Holmes is able to get that 62 fired.
Yeah, possibly starter issue. We let these cars sit again. Talked about it as a driver. You let these cars sit. It's the worst thing you can do. You know, when you got a good, strong race car, you want to get it done.
But you know what? You're a driver, and you hit that ignition switch, and nothing happens. It'll make your heart start going a little bit.
Major heart fibrillation. I tell you, there's nothing out there that could happen. Scare you that much more is when you hit starter switch and nothing's happening. The cars are leaving you, and you're saying, "Oh goodness, my night could be over."
Well, Holmes has gotten the car fired and
back underway. And
again, he's out in front of David, but my score monitor has David restarting this race in the #1 position. It'll be Holmes 2nd, Portengate 3rd, Eric Harden, who we've not talked about tonight, starting 4th, and Mike Duncan 5th. Tim Woods is 6th, Austin Cameron 7th, Johnny Borneman 8th, Justin Lofton 9th, and Brian Eichler 10th. That's your top 10. Restarting here the second half of this race.
When I looked, when they took the yellow flag, come across start-finish line, it was almost a photo finish there with a 62 car of Holmes and a 2 car David. So I'm sure NASCAR, we've got transponders on these cars. There's a computer pickup on the start-finish line, so you know, the computer picks it up and tells these drivers where we need to line up, and it's pretty much foolproof.
All right, we'll see how they line up double file. And wow, okay, they're making, they must be making some scoring changes. That's our booth. Waved in to the, there you go. Dan's got the comfortable chair.
Yep.
That's good. Okay, well, the scoring loop must be wrong here, and the scoreboard is wrong, because it looks to me like that Eric Holmes is going to start in the number 1 position, Mike David second, Steve Portengay third, and Mike Duncan 4th. Okay, we'll have to wait till they crank up the transponders again to see how this all shakes out. There's going to be 1 to go, and we do know that inside line is not the good way around. Candace told us that Mike Duncan did not want to start on the outside, and he's going to.
Yep, that outside line definitely is not the preferred line yet. You know, maybe another 100 laps, we'll get some more rubber laid down out there, but the race will be over by then. So, again, you've got to work that inside line and keep your car down there.
All right, the pace car is off the track. We're about ready to go back green for the second half of this race. It has been exciting so far. Cars are 2 by 2.
Green.
Spotter in the 62.
Outside. You're clear. Clear all around.
Great restart.
David, right to the bottom of the racetrack. So important to get back down.
Oh, my gosh, did you see him run into Holmes?
Yep, just drives down in there. Sure, I don't believe he did that on purpose. He just got a good run through the center of the corner. Was not able to keep it slowed down. Look at Mike Duncan on the outside.
Eric Holmes did a great job keeping that car in line. Duncan trying to pass on the outside. You heard Candace tell us he does not like to race out there, but he is dead even with Steve Portengay right now. That's the battle for third place.
And Portengay, the winner here last year, knows how to get around this racetrack. I talked to him before the race here tonight. He says, you got to keep the car on the bottom. You've got to keep it down there. You've got to bull your way through. Whatever you do not get off the bottom of this racetrack, because the guy that can run the bottom all night here will be in victory lane.
Duncan is now in line. He is 4th. The story, Tim Woods, he is 5th.
Single file. Again, get some heat back in these tires. Get back in the rhythm, then we'll see what we got. The guys have made some adjustments. We'll know if they worked or they did not work, but it's going to take 5 to 10 laps to get some heat in these tires and figure that out.
Tim Woods in the 54 car. Had a tough race at Fontana, but you see him there on the right side of your screen. He survived the spin earlier, and he is now running 5th in the top 5. Woods had a 4th place finish at Irwindale this year. That was his best finish of the year.
Qualified 15th. He said, I just overdrove the car. He tries to get so much more out of his race cars than he really got, and sometimes it just makes a driver overdrive your race car, and that's exactly what he did in qualifying.
Yeah. If you're a Tim Woods fan, you may be saying, car 54, where are you? He's 5th. I don't know. That dates me too much.
Be like engine 9.
That dates me. Eric Holmes has led a lot of laps here tonight. What a dominant race car he's had.
Keep the car on the bottom. Mike David, cars pretty much look identical. They're able to run through the corner and get back in the gas good, and that's what it takes on these little short tracks. Get down, brake on, hard down on the brake, get the car turned, and get back on the gas.
Now, I would think if you're Holmes or David, you're racing for the championship. Points are tight. It's going to go down to the last race of the year unless you make a mistake here, and I think they'll be patient.
Yes, they will. So important now, they've got to work their way through traffic. We talked about it earlier. They've got to pace themselves. The spotters have got to work hard to pace themselves through traffic. That's going to be their biggest goal here tonight.
They're coming up on Bobby Hillis, who spent some time behind the wall, back out on the track now, and he's about to go another lap down. He gets the move over flag, and Holmes actually going to try to pass him on the high side.
So you get hung out on that high side. Again, not where you want to be, not quite the grip you need, so you have to tiptoe.
Everybody getting by Hillis now. Portengay, Duncan, Tim Woods, the top 5.
Gives these two cars a little bit of breathing room. Portengay has to work the outside also, so it kind of breaks them up a little bit. That's kind of what they wanted to see.
But it does hold up the 6th place Austin Cameron. He is now several car lengths behind the 5th place car of Woods. He tried to get a little racing there on Portengay a moment ago. There's Austin Cameron. What a up and down year he's had, but he does have a win. He won the second Irwindale race, coming off a 15th place finish at Montana.
92 starts in this series. You know, he's been around a while. He knows
all-time money winner.
Yes, 14 wins. He just said the car did not feel good in practice. He said, you know, we just can't quite, we're slow. He says that I'm not sure where we need to go. We made some changes and don't know. You know, sometimes when you get a car like that, you just need to practice with it, throw some things at it. But, you know, practice here, you get 30 minutes and then we break, and you get 30 minutes and you break, and you get another 30 minutes, and then we're done. Then we go to qualifying. Whatever setup you start qualifying with, what you have to race with. And the only time you can change it is during that 10-minute break.
But you know, Dan, it was just good to see Austin Cameron out racing. He's had some health problems in recent years. Non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, he battled that. He had some heart surgery. He's come back from all of that. He proud father, had a son born on I think June 5th this year. So some good things happening in Austin Cameron's life. He's got a win this season, and he has made a home with that team. David Gilliland drove that car to a second-place finish here last year. Gilliland, of course, now in the Nextel Cup Series, driving for Robert Gates.
Good team, and hats off to him. Commitment, dedication that he has made. I mean, he's my hero. You know, Austin has done things again, has fought through the health issues and back racing, strong as ever, and just got a good head on him, good positive thinking, and that shows you what happens when we think positive things happen.
Well, Mike Duncan keeps looking on the inside there of Steve Portengay. Portengay in third, Duncan in fourth, Duncan in that 9. Series champion in 2004 and 2005. Came into this race 65
Oh, he gets in the back.
Oh, he turned him around. You're right.
Steve Portengay around. Wow.
We talked about him being racy and trying to look inside and outside. He just clipped Portengay, who won this race last year. Portengay's turned around. Yellow's out. Caution is out.
Looks like, you know, just cosmetic damage to Steve Portengay's car, but unfortunate for him. Steve's not going to be happy because he was just setting a good pace, and he just got in the back of him.
And the point I was making is Duncan came into this race 65 points out. He can't languish back there, and you see, I think he was just trying to get up on the outside and clipped him.
Well, that's exactly what it looked like. Duncan working that outside, and as he came, Steve Portengay turned to the bottom. Duncan slid up the racetrack and just got in the right rear corner and turned Steve around. See Steve turning right to try and save the race car, but not able to grab it. Got spinned around. Did a good job of keeping the car on the bottom. See, he drives down. You see Duncan just drives in the corner a lot harder. Ooh, gets in hard in the right rear corner.
And you might think, okay, that's rough driving. He just took him out. But that's really not the case. Duncan, you know, these cars don't have great brakes.
No,
and it's not easy when you go into a corner that hard. To just like jump on the brakes and avoid hitting somebody like
You're
that.
exactly right, and that's a big problem is brakes. As we get through the race, the brakes get hotter and hotter and hotter, and we actually, the rotors get cherry red on these cars, and, you know, unfortunately, sometimes we just lose brake pedal.
Trying to look for some damage on his car. There's a car that's off the track down between turns 3 and 4.
There's a crew, number 9
Is there a
car
crew working on it?
Mike Duncan.
Well, Bill Sedgwick is the crew chief on that car, and he also serves as the spotter.
Yep.
Is there a car out in the field out there? It looks like there is. Out between 3 and 4, it looks like there is a car that is off the racetrack.
So I believe it's a 66 car.
There we go. Yeah.
Justin Lofton.
Yeah, he took a little detour, didn't he?
Yep. I'm not sure if he got a little bit of help or just tried to, you know, navigate around that wreck and just got up on the outside, just know where to go.
Well, there's Justin out of the race car. Looks like he's okay, but
little upset. Not a good feeling as a driver when your night's over.
Yeah, you don't want to go out in the field.
No. Not sure if, like I said, to avoid the Portengay deal there, just got on the outside and drove off the racetrack.
Well, it's going to take a while because they're going to have to get the wrecker hooked up to that car and pull it all the way back around to the garage. And I think Justin Lofton has said, to heck with that, I'm going to walk. He's got his helmet in his hand. He's ready to go. Eric Holmes leads after 126 laps here in Kyle, Texas. It's been a great season here on HDNet, and one of the races we had a good time at, the July race in Irwindale. Eric Holmes led Tim Woods had a great race, but it was Austin Cameron who came back. You see Johnny Barneman spinning, and guess who? Steve Portengay. He's been in his share of bumping and banging, but it was Austin Cameron who came back after flipping in the first Irwindale race to win, and this has been his only win of the season. Austin Cameron in that 88 car, and Cameron right now has made his way to the top 5. This restart 5th when we restart this race. There's Austin Cameron.
Like I said, made major changes to this race car, so obviously they went the right direction.
We talked about Mike Duncan, and maybe his brakes, that pedal got a little soft. You really use some brake gear, don't you?
Well, you do. You're looking at the brake rotor, and these are the rotors on these cars. You see they're extra thick. When we come to tracks like this, we actually put a bigger brake package on these cars. That's the rotor. Them rotors will get red hot. What these are is these are brake ducts. We cut holes in the front of the race car, and they actually push air through these vents and threw them right to that rotor that we were looking at earlier. These white things right here, these are brake fans. See the wires going into these fans? Them are actually brake fans that are installed on each side of these cars. Have 3 blowers on each side. See the little switch that's labeled BRK? That's brake. When the brakes get hot, the crew chief tells the driver, hey, have you got your brake fans on? Usually you hear that about the first 10 or 15 laps from your crew chief. Turn them brake fans on. Keep the heat down on them rotors, because when these rotors get red hot, what they actually do is boil the brake fluid. When we boil the brake fluid, we get oxygen and air into the brake fluid, and the pedal actually gets real spongy. And that possibly, Mike, could be what happened to Mike Duncan there earlier when he got in the back of Steve Portengay, that he just lost a little bit of brake pedal and wasn't quite sure what was there. And when he cools down and runs around under cool here, a caution, this will cool the brakes back down. So possibly that was the issue on Mike Duncan, because he did get in there a little bit hot and got in the quarter there of Steve Portengay.
Well, Portengay is obviously running in the top 5 all night long. He has been moved back in the pack, obviously. And I think we've got this racetrack cleaned up, and but the caution light is going to stay on, so we'll go at least another lap or 2 of caution.
These guys right now.
The tone coming from Dan Pardis's radio. He's trying to talk to Steve Portengay, but they're probably bleeping out what he has to say. That's what I would imagine right now, because that was that tone, because he can't be very happy. They're lining up 2 by 2, so I think we're going to get ready to go back to green here. It'll be Eric Holmes on the inside, Mike David on the outside. And how about Tim Woods is going to restart in the 3rd position?
Yep, Tim, again, I tell you, he's been working up again. He just said, I overdrove in practice. I really believe I got a good race car. And Tim likes racetracks like this. He's an aggressive driver. He really gets up on the steering wheel. And these little 3/8 miles, quarter-mile racetracks, Tim really gets the job done. So on little tracks like this, if he's got a car underneath him, he can really get the job done. And
Tim Woods
here tonight at Kyle.
Former college football player. Of course, we're in a big college football area. The Texas Longhorns playing tonight, the same time this race is being run in nearby Austin.
So the 2-car, Mike David there, earlier.
Starting on the outside.
Starting on the outside. Not the place you want to be, but get a run right here off the corner.
Still there. Still there.
How about David?
Still there.
On the outside.
Come on, still there. Get on it. Get on it.
You see that? He got such a momentum run there off the corner. Almost beat him down, but not quite down.
Still there.
Trying to get ahead of him and get down low.
On your quarter, still there.
Just can't quite get enough. I mean, another 2
foot.
foot.
The car that turns around, it's Duncan.
Mike
Duncan has spun in turn 4. Mike Duncan has spun. No caution yet.
Wow, just looked like he got way high
Now
on the outside. Just lost it. Again, no grip. Got to be careful as the leaders come back around not to get a lap down.
Well, you know what happened? I mean, that was amazing for Duncan, able to get refired, and the caution comes out just in time. He'll stay on the lead lap.
There's another look at it. Looks like he's on the outside of Tim Woods. Tim drives down to the bottom. He's on the bottom of the racetrack. Looks like Duncan just lost grip on the outside.
You know what that looks like to me? I know he lost grip, but he's going hard into that corner. I think he's got a pretty soft brake pedal right there and just can't get that car woed down enough to make that turn.
Exactly. Look at, you see, he got in a speedy dry there. They just laid a lot of speedy dry down the racetrack, and it looked like he may have locked up the left rear tire or possibly just got into that speedy dry, and it just enough to turn the car around.
Watch this again, and you'll see the white strip. That's the speedy dry right there. You see it kicking up behind his rear wheel?
He's right in the groove. I mean, he's right in that speedy dry. He loses grip on the right side of the car, and then he gets out of control. There's nothing you can do at this point. Wow. Tough break for him. And in all series, when they do a track cleaning like this as a driver and as the spotter, that's one of the spotter's jobs to say, hey, be careful. There's speedy dry up in that second groove, guys. Be careful. Get it worked in. It takes some 10 laps to get rid of it, so you have to remember that.
They're the spotters. And by the way, Mike Duncan's spotter, Bill Sedgwick, is a 2-time champion as a driver.
Bill's lots of experience. Been around in all series and forms of racing. Knows what it takes to win races and get around. So Duncan will settle back in and work his way back to the front again. He's still on the lead lap.
Again, they'll line up 2 by 2. The real beneficiaries here are Tim Woods and Austin Cameron. They'll start on the second row. Brian Eichler and Johnny Borneman, we haven't talked a lot about those guys. They'll start on row 3.
Well, Johnny Borneman's been real quiet all night. Starting in the 12th position. Again, just was not happy with qualifying and practice. Said it could not get a hold of the racetrack, but may have made some changes here in the halfway point.
And we're coming up in 9 laps on 50 to go here.
Now's the time where you really do need to keep your car up in that top 5. Start thinking about the end of the race. With 50 to go, with 20 to go, we need to be there, and 10 to go, we got to put it in position.
All right, ready for the green
go,
again.
Go, green. You're clear, all clear.
It's a word from Mike David, spotter.
Good run. Look at the run off the back straightaway. He was able to get back down on the gas hard, but it looks like possibly caution was going to go out, but it did stay green.
Boy, Tim Woods getting all kinds of battling there from Brian Eichler in that 20 car. Look at him right beside him, right there.
Yeah, but Tim's got to get down on the bottom. Not the superior race car he's had all night to be on the outside. He knows he's got to get down on the bottom. That's important.
And what? Did you see that 77 car? Steve Portengay, he has made his way back from that spin.
Steve says, I'm not letting nobody on this bottom side. It's been too tough for me all night. I'm having the bottom. It's my line. That's where he wants to be. That's where his car works. Back into 5th position. He can smell the front.
Well, Mike David, Eric Holmes out in front. We've talked about NASCAR's diversity program. Juliano Losaco from Sao Paulo, Brazil, has had a great race. He is currently running 10th in the top 10, trying to get a feel for these stock cars. He is a great racer in Brazil. He's won 2 Brazilian championships in stock car racing.
He has 2004, 2005 stock car championship in Brazil. Them cars are a little different, though. They're 2,700 pounds, 450 horsepower, compared to our 3,300 pounds, 620 horsepower. He says it's been a little bit of a change, been a little bit of an adaptation to try and drive these race cars, but I like them.
And a little bit of difference between Sao Paulo, Brazil, and Austin, Texas, too.
Absolutely. And he runs a lot of road racing over there. He's never really run much oval, so, these oval tracks, as aggressive as these guys are, and aggressive as you have to get on an oval, that's been a learning experience for him also. But he's doing a really good job here tonight. He's able to keep the car under him, and to finish this race in one piece would be a victory for that team.
Austin Cameron and Johnny Borneman have quite a battle going right here. My score sheet says that's the battle for 6th place. Cameron running 6th, Borneman running 7th right now. Eric Harden is in the 8th position.
Borneman complaining in practice. He says the car's getting over on the right rear. He said, I just can't figure out what it's doing. It's tight, it's loose, don't know where to go. We're going to make some major changes. And again, he threw everything but the kitchen sink at it also. Him and Austin Cameron both.
You see we're under 50 to go now. One car who is really making a move is the 20 car, running 3rd right now. That is Brian Eichler out of San Diego, California. He's a rookie. Began racing in the off-road desert series in Southern California. He attends Grossmont College in San Diego, came in 9th in points, and right now is running 3rd. He does have a 2nd place finish this year. That was on the road course at Sonoma. Brian Eichler, a youngster, making his presence felt here in Kyle, Texas tonight.
Another youngster under the helm of Bill McAnally. You know, again, Bill has done so much for this series and been a supporter of this series for so long, and he's brought up so many good drivers. You can't say enough about Bill McAnally and what he's done. But it's so nice as a driver to come into a series like this, to have a car owner with that type of history that has made that many drivers move up and progress through the different series. And that's a really good thing for a driver to come and have somebody like Bill McAnally there to be able to hold the helm and give them the direction.
The laps continue to wind down, and I think the car to watch out for, beside the 2 of Mike David and the 62 of Jared Holmes, is the 77 of Steve Portengate. If he can catch up to those two, he has been really fast making his way back up through the field after that spin.
Well, he has, and Steve's won here again last year. He's last year's winner. He likes this racetrack. He's brought the same car back. He knows how to get around this place. And again, he knows he has to be there with some 10 laps to go. So he's hoping for a caution in his next 20 or 30 laps to get him back up there within touching distance of the leaders.
Well, he's running about the same lap times right now as the leader. Mike David, if they finish this like this, Eric Holmes will still come away from here as the points leader heading into the last race of the season. Those two just can't get away from each other.
Well, they can, and again, Eric Holmes has just been so consistent. He's the type of driver that'll settle for second or third place, and that means a lot. He's up there in rooting range, we call it, and he gets up underneath the guy and gets spun out. He knows that he cannot win championships that way. Eric Holmes is not that kind of driver. He's a conservative driver, and he's aggressive when he needs to get aggressive, but that doesn't always win championships. And again, what he's doing here tonight, if he has to finish second, he knows that he's okay with that because he wants to win the championship.
Of the 10 races before tonight, 7 of them, Holmes has been in the top 5.
It's amazing. And again, it's consistency as a driver. He's bred that into himself. Obviously, he says, I got to be patient. I know that's what it takes. And that's so hard to do for a race car driver because we don't, as race car drivers, have much patience built in us. It's just a hard thing to do. So you have to set your pace. You have to have good people behind you. Your spotter has to be talking to you, keeping you cooled down at the right time and in the right places.
This is the battle for 4th, and the handle seems to have gone away a little bit on that Portengate car. He made his way up through the field, and now Tim Woods trying to get inside of him to take that 4th position away.
Now you see the car moving around and jumping around, not to Steve's liking. He's not able to get back into gas hard, and that's what you have to do on a short track here. Back into gas hard, smooth through the center. Good corner there, but previous turn before that, you see the car moving around an awful lot and enabled Tim Woods to get up on the parlay for 2 on.
A really good battle going here as we approach 35 laps to go.
See the brakes glowing on some of these cars. They turn bright red as they drive down in the corner sometimes, so you just have to not overdrive. Don't overuse your brake driver.
That's Eric Harden in the 18 trying to get into past Johnny Borneman. Now watch this.
Drives down in the corner and picks the throttle up a little bit earlier. Borneman not quite in the gas yet. Says, hello, I'm back here, but did a good job. Got back out of the gas. If he stayed in the throttle, he would have turned Borneman around. Not what he wants to do.
They've been doing that all night long. Borneman 7th, Harden 8th.
See a piece of the fiberglass bumper cover flapping off the left rear of that car. Not causing any major problem or difficulty to it, but in NASCAR season, they may keep an eye on it.
There is Mike David out of Modesto, California, 39 years old, trying to win the series championship. Has 2 wins this year, both of them at his home track, Stockton 99 Speedway. Coming off a top 10 run in Montana. But he knows to catch Eric Holmes, he can't worry about what Eric Holmes does. He has to go out and try to win these last 2 races, and that's what you're seeing him do here tonight.
Well, he does. He knows he has to beat Eric Holmes to win that championship. So not only is he going to win the race, he has to beat Eric week in and week out. Battle for 4th position right here. Portengate just cannot get a good run. Tim Woods also able to drive down in the corner a little harder, not able to pick up the throttle like Portengate can. You see Austin Cameron in the sights also.
Cameron in the red 88, right behind him. There's the 8 of Borneman and the 18 of Harden. Harden's a great story. Guy survived cancer, lost part of a leg. Still out here, able to really push that race car around the track. Here's the battle for 4th again, and Tim Woods keeps looking inside, and now he's got under him. Oh, my gosh.
Yep, Portengate not wanting to get him to the outside, but he actually moved up the racetrack and said, well, he's down there. Spotter called him inside. Tim Woods able to get back under him and stand on the gas.
Austin Cameron almost made a run at him as well.
Yep, that's the thing. Sometimes if you make a hole, if there's 2 cars, you're going to have 2 or 3 freight train you. So if one comes through, you got to shut the door as quick as you can, and that's what enabled Steve Portengate to get back in the groove there and shut that door.
Tim Woods now running 4th. Portengate 5th, Austin Cameron 6th. That's the best battle on the racetrack right now, as Mike David and Eric Holmes have kind of checked out a bit.
See Portengate won that position back, driving down in there hard, but just not able to pick the throttle up. Tim Woods a little bit loose off the corner. As you see the back end of the car slide around, enabled Portengate to get back to him.
Well, I think Portengate's going to give him a battle before this night's over. Trying to take that position away. Boy, you saw how hot the brake rotors are. Now Holmes has caught up with Mike David. 25 to go. Is here where you try to make your move?
Well, I'd say no, not quite yet. You need to get within that 10-lap range. You really do, because anything can happen. You can get a caution. So you do not want to overdrive your car, heat up the brake rotors, overheat the tires. You need to wait. With about 10 to go, in my opinion, that's the time to start checking out and really driving the race car hard. You see these cars, they've been so consistent, and they're just glued to the racetrack. They're not overdriving these race cars. Both these drivers, Mike David, Eric Holmes, again, that's why they're topping the points right now. They know they have to be consistent to win races. They drive the cars real comfortable. They do not overdrive their equipment. That's so important to be there at the end.
You want to know how hot it is underneath those cars on those brake rotors? Watch here as you come around, and we're going to see, watch underneath that 62 car.
Yep, you'll actually see sparks coming out from underneath them as they drive down in the corner. And what that is sparks from the brake rotor. Exactly. See the glowing of the brake rotors over 1,000 degrees. I believe some 1,400 degrees at some times as they enter the corner. And
there it is.
Yep, them brake ducts. That's why it's so important to have brake ducts to cool them brakes down.
Well, it's getting hot right now, and Holmes is right on Mike David's bumper. You know he feels him there. Austin Cameron has gotten by Tim Woods. Here comes Steve Portengate.
Steve says, I want the position back. You got back by me earlier. Tim Woods moved up the racetrack. Smart thing to do, and said, all right, guys, I'll let you by. Let me get back in line and see if I can catch you. But these 2 guys have really been going at it. And here's Eric down to the bottom. Good pass.
The battle for the lead right here. Can Eric Holmes make the pass? The outside is not where you want to be. And Eric Holmes, the series points leader, is back in front with under 20 laps to go.
Well, that was a good, smooth pass. He drove down in there, did not even touch Mike David. Mike slid up the racetrack, obviously not having the grip that he wanted on the bottom of the racetrack, and said, let him go. But, you know, Mike David right now, he's saying, well, it's not quite time to check out yet. Again, we got to check out about 10 laps to go, and if he's got anything left, he needs to do it in the last 10 laps.
Last lap, Eric Holmes, the fastest car on the racetrack. The only 2 cars that turned that lap under 16 seconds were Holmes and Mike David.
Yep, them 2 cars are almost identical. They're within a 1/10 of a second every lap. So, again, very, very evenly matched race cars. It's just going to matter of track position at the time when we come to take checker.
You know, Mike David's going to let Eric Holmes know he's there. They're coming up on some laps of track. Actually, it's Mike Duncan who's ahead of him, about to go a lap down.
Yep, Duncan's, unfortunate for him, got in that earlier altercation and wasn't good.
Mike Duncan in the 9th position. There are 9 cars on the lead lap right now. The last car on the lead lap is that number 9 car. And Holmes is catching him. Look at Mike David trying to get that little bump and run, just to let him know he's there and to dive down under.
Yep, looking to the bottom. Holmes has got to be so cautious now. We're within 13 laps to go to keep that car down on the bottom. Do not let David get underneath him, because if he does, he'll put him up on that high side and just hang him out to dry. 62 car coming up on lap traffic. He's got to be so careful. Working up on Mike Duncan, like he said.
Duncan's not exactly slow out there. It's not going to be easy to get by him right now.
Nope, it looks like he's got a pretty good car, because they've taken him 3 or 4 laps to really try and catch him and reel him in. So they've got to be careful when they work around him.
Now look at David. Come right up on that bumper out of the turn. He's going to let him know he's there. Right there.
Yep, now's the time to do it again.
10 to go, Eric. Get up on that wheel.
Word from Eric Holmes' spotter. Get up on that wheel is
An
race
understatement.
car terminology for really let it all hang out now.
It's time to start driving. If you've got anything left, now's the time to do it. But I tell you, these guys have been driving so hard for these past 10 laps. They've got to be careful not to overdrive these cars, not to use the tires up or the brakes.
And if you're Mike Duncan, you want to stay on the lead lap, so he's going to fight him.
Yep, Mike is. And unfortunate for these guys, there he goes. He moved up the racetrack. Give him a groove.
Outside.
Good racing move.
Still there.
Let him by.
Still there. You're clear.
Spotter Eric Holmes says you're clear. That's what you want to hear.
A real gentleman move there by Mike Duncan just to pull up high and let those guys go by. Knowing that he doesn't have the car to race for the win, but these two guys do, Eric Holmes and Mike David.
Yep, and Mike's, right on his bumper again. If he's got anything left, he's going to be on it right now. Mike David needs to win this race to gain points on Eric, so it's so important that he wins here tonight.
Keep doing what you're doing earlier, bud. That's kind of not helping you down at 4. That's where he's getting you, just holding that down. Just do what you're doing earlier.
Spotter Eric Holmes telling him, do what you're doing earlier. He tried a little different line, moved around a little bit, but appeared it didn't help.
Dan, if you watch...
5 to go. 5 to go. Give me 5 hard ones.
All right, if you watch coming out of 4, that's where Mike David really can get up on Eric Holmes' bumper.
Yep. He gained good ground there, but unfortunate. Lap traffic. Whoa, he got underneath him. He got inside of Mark.
And where did he do it? He did it coming out of 4. That's where Holmes made his mistake.
4 laps to go. The crowd is on their feet. This is the break that Mike David wanted.
And Holmes doesn't want to be stuck up out there on the outside. Not by any chance.
Nope, he doesn't. And as you see, Mike David, if he's smart, he'll push him up another groove, just push him up a little bit higher, make that track real wide. Now he's got where he wants to be.
Eric Holmes, again, has not won a race this year. Mike David going for his 3rd victory of the season.
Stellar move by Mike David right through traffic. Used that traffic as a pick and was able to get the car back on the bottom. Eric Holmes is really going to have to work these last 2 laps to get by him.
White flag will be out next time. Mike David looks pretty comfortable taking the white flag last lap. And they're coming up on some lap traffic, and David is going to use that lap traffic.
Eric Norris, oh, we got a spinner. 18 car, Eric Harding.
And Holmes spins, David spins, Eric Holmes comes around, and Eric Holmes will win the race. The lapped car of Mark Schultz was in the way.
No, man, what a finish. Unfortunate for David, running so good here all night, and then gets spun on that last lap, last corner. Tough break for him.
And Mike David's finish will not be near what his car and the strength of his car showed here tonight, and Eric Holmes will gain a lot of ground in the point standings. The 33 car of Mark Schultz was the lapped car. He's running his first West Series race. And Mike David really used that lapped car and tried to put Holmes in a bad position, but then Holmes got up and pretty much pushed David up the racetrack, and then that was it.
David just got up on that high side, and unfortunately, no grip up top there, and just lost the back end of the race car.
Brian Eichler unofficially finished his 2nd, Austin Cameron 3rd, Johnny Borneman 4th, and Mike David, as of right now, unofficially posted in the 5th finishing position.
Sure, very frustrating as a driver to have that happen off the... That's why it's never over till it's over. Off the 4th corner, coming to the checkered and get turned around. Never believed that would happen.
Well, his first win of the season, the points leader, Eric Holmes. Now watch what happens here.
See, coming off the corner side by side. Lap car 33. Looked like Eric got a little loose and got into David. Just nowhere to go.
And a great job of poking his way through there by Holmes.
Definitely. Eric Holmes just making contact, getting into David. That's just a racing incident.
Well, I see Candace Kruger down there as Holmes has gotten out of his race car.
He worked for that one, I'll tell you.
Boy, Eric Holmes, his first win. Holmes has finished 2nd at Phoenix, 2nd at Irwindale, 2nd at the 2nd Irwindale race, 2nd at Stockton, 3rd in the last race at Fontana, and finally gets a win here in the next to last race of the season.
Yep, consistency. And again, he was patient. He did what he had to do, kept his head on him, and just picked through traffic. And we talked about it earlier, Mike. That lap traffic could just be detrimental to these guys, and showed true to be that way on that last lap.
All right, here we go.
I'm here. I'm just waiting for my mic.
Well, we're trying to get a microphone down to Candace Kruger, and when we do, we will head down to her. I think she's got her microphone now. Looks like, is she ready to go? Candace, you ready? Let's go. Hello, Candace. Well, apparently we're having a little trouble with the microphone. We'll get back down to her in a minute because we really want to hear from Eric Holmes winning this race. And, again, congratulations to Brian Eichler for finishing second. We talked about this youngster and had a great run going here tonight. Austin Cameron third.
Just a tremendous finish for Austin. Again, not the car he wanted. Boardman also made a lot of changes to their race cars earlier, obviously the right ones.
Well, we see Candace now. I think she's changed microphones. You got your IFB working and your MIC working there,
Guys,
Candace?
I hope you can hear me. We're all set down here.
All right.
Eric, congratulations, your first victory. Tell us what it's like.
It's pretty cool. I hate to win it like that. I mean, the lap cars weren't giving us no room, and one hit me before, and it was a bold move on my part, and I apologize, Mike David, but we were 3 wide last lap, battling for a championship, and I lost one that way, so I'm here to win this one, and I just want to thank my team and my car owner and everybody back home for supporting me. It was a great race. I had a lot of fun. I'm bummed out we won it like that. I should have had a lead before that, but that's the way it goes. That's racing.
That's racing, and you had a fantastic car all night long.
Yeah, we had a good car. The track was real slick on that last restart. Mike got by me, and I got back by him, and I had it, and a lap car kind of got in my way and ran me up. So we got flat tires and everything, so it's a bummer to win my first like this, but I needed to win one of these, and I feel good about it.
Hey, it's a huge win right here at the end with just one race left.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm doing what I have to do. We led some laps, so Mike, he's doing what he has to do, and it's going to go down right to the last race. Should be a lot of fun.
Congratulations, Eric.
All right, thank you.
Well, and the happy Eric Holmes, and it has to be a very disappointed Mike David. But David does finish fifth, and he's going to lose some points, but not a ton of points, and he'll still have that championship in sight when he heads to Altamont here in a couple of weeks.
Well, David had a decision to make, too. He got on that outside. He knew he was up in that third and fourth groove. He could have pulled out of the throttle also, but, again, he was there for the win. Eric, you have nothing to hang your hat at. I mean, you've done an awesome job, and as a racer, hey, it's the last lap. This is short track racing. After all, we're here to win the race, so you have to do things like that sometimes to put it in victory lane.
Well, it was, as you see Eric there talking to the crowd, and good crowd here tonight in this Allstate Texas Thunder 200. I was pretty impressed with the Thunder Hill Raceway and the way these guys were able to race on it here tonight.
Well, again, we talked about that second groove, and it worked. There was grip out there. You were able to race out there, but not the fast way around the racetrack. The fast way around here tonight was on the bottom of the racetrack, and that's what proved to win this race here for Eric Holmes.
Well, it has been a great season here on HDNet, and it was certainly a fun race here tonight. Here are the unofficial results. Look at Giuliano Losacco coming home in 9th place.
It's got to be a victory for Giuliano. Awesome job. Eric Harden, 10th.
Yeah. We'll be back to wrap things up here in Kyle, Texas in just a moment. It was a thrilling last lap move by Eric Holmes to claim his first win of the season and further strengthen his lead in the point standings heading into the final race of the year. Now, this is our final race here on HDNet this year. Dan, it's been a pleasure working with you, and I've had a fun time all season, and particularly here tonight.
Oh, we have, and we've been to some racetracks. We've been to some big tracks, little tracks, short tracks, bumping and banging, and I tell you, these guys, this series has come a long way, and I look for really good things out of this Winston series in the future, and I hope we can do a lot more of them in the future.
This series, the Grand National West and the Grand National East, has taken leaps forward this year, and the future, as you said, is so bright in both of these series, and it's really been fun so far here on HDNet. Hopefully we can continue it to broadcast some of these races to you and see really these are the NASCAR stars of tomorrow, many of them.
Oh, they really are, and they breed. They cut their teeth at short tracks like this. This is where a lot of major, big, famous NASCAR Nextel Cup drivers started on these 3/8 miles tracks. That's where you learn discipline. That's where you learn to race hard. That's where you learn patience. So that's what's so good about these series is it teaches you all that.
Well, And we saw a great race here tonight. Again, our congratulations to Eric Holmes. Well, that'll do it for our race coverage here in Kyle, Texas at the Thunder Hill Raceway in the Allstate Texas Thunder 200. You've been watching NASCAR Grand National West Division Racing. The executive producer of HDNet Sports is Darrell Ewald. The director of tonight's race, the incomparable Hank Lena. Our producer, David Butler. Our associate producers, Chris Stevens and Joe Torres, who did a great job. HDNet engineering provided by Jeff Millen and Dan Neighbors. Our HDNet lead camera tonight, Tom Harker. Our production manager, taking care of all the small details, Mike Herbert. And here are some of the names and some of the folks who have worked so hard to make our broadcast tonight possible to you. And this has been a great crew, and hopefully you've enjoyed seeing these pictures in high definition on HDNet. Again, our winner from Kyle, Texas tonight is Eric Holmes. For my broadcast partners, Dan Pardis and Candace Kruger, I'm Mike Hogwood. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night, everybody.